Hello everyone. Welcome to this JavaScript beginner level workshop. So so what we're going to see now is here in this next upcoming 5 days, we're going to see about all the JavaScript beginner level concepts and all. We're going to cover it up. So if you are a fresher here, you can able to understand what the JavaScript is of and how the JavaScript is using and all everything will be understand. And we're going to see about all the basic concept that is necessary to kickstart your career in the JavaScript development that we're going to discuss. Okay. So before getting into that, you need to make sure I just tell the meeting workshop procedures and all. So what does that means? We will give you an attendance form every day. Like this is going to conduct for every day 8:30 to 9:30. We're going to conduct a workshop every day, and we will give you an attendance form in this link. And if you fill the attendance form, you will get a free certification by watching this workshop. But make sure that you are watching the workshop till the end. Okay, because we are provide a attendance form at the end of the session only, so you can able to give that. Okay, so then right now, so we just get started into the if you have any doubts, you can chat with me. I will come to this Restream platform and I will see the chat box, and here all your chats will be displayed here, and I will respond to your chat also. If you have any doubts, you can able to ask me. Okay, so without wasting time, what we can do, we can get into the code and make sure if you like the contents and if you like this live workshops and all, just if you're new here, just give a like and subscribe for the channel. It will be really helpful as for motivate do much more workshop like this. Okay, so make sure that you are doing that. Okay, so let's get started. So what I'm going to use right now, if you know about what is the basic eligibility for this workshops, nothing but basic about very basics about HTML and CSS, that's fine. Okay, so you need to know about what is HTML and CSS and you little bit, very little bit, that's it. And also you need to know about what is code editor, what is the browser tool, like that. Very simple concept, and one or two lines, that's more than enough. Okay, so if you are an absolute beginner, this program is for you. Okay, if you already know about something, then you may get some additional information in this workshop, it might happen. Okay, so you can able to use that. Let's get started with this workshop. So what I'm going to do for the code editor, we will use the Visual Studio Code editor to write our code, and we will use the live server extension, and we will display the answer. And also, so right now what we're going to do, we use the I just going to use the online debugger, so online compiler. So what does that means? That name is called as JSBin. If you type it in Google, you can find it out. That is going to be the JSBin. So what the JSBin will do, so the JS something like this, like it's like a, if you know about CodePen, same like that. So it is also going to have that. So here you can see HTML, and we can write the CSS here, and we can write our JavaScript here, and we can able to see our output here, like that we can able to do. So why I'm using this, because it is very easy to show you like how it is working and all. Okay, before getting into the section, we need to know about one of the browser tools. So what is the browser tool is, if you right click and inspect, you can see what are the browser tools that are available. You can able to see, right? So you can see elements, and what is this element is of, the element is of for all the code that has been written for this developing this entire page. Source code, everything will be displayed here. And you can see the style tag. So in the style tag, you can see the CSS spot, you can able to see the CSS spot and everything. And right now we don't want this. If you are a front-end developer for making HTML and CSS, it will be really helpful to do something dynamic, it will be really helpful. You can change, increase, decrease and everything in the browser itself. In that cases, it will be really helpful. And right now for JavaScript, what we need is, we need this console. So what this console is of, so the console is the place where we will get the errors. Like we are writing something, we will get some of the errors and all, and we will break through the errors and all, we will do that. And also I'm writing a code, I need to know whether I return a right code. For example, I'm writing a single line of code, and I need to know that whether the code is understandable by the computer or not. Like I need to know that, right? So what if it is, by using this console, we can check it whether the code has been written, whether it is written correctly, whether whatever the code that have been written, whether the browser understand it is perfectly, like that we can able to debug it by using this console. Okay, so that is what why I'm using JSBin. The another reason, you can see console. So exactly whatever we are typing, the errors, the warning messages and the debugging and practice, we will use the right click and we will go for inspect, and we will see here. Okay, so if I use the JSBin, I can able to write code in this left side, and the console will show you the answer in the right side. We can able to do that. That is why, that is the only reason I'm using JSBin. This is for practicing purpose. Okay, so for you to, I'm telling like, okay, so you can use that like that. So I am using that, but when it comes to real world, we need to go for the Visual Studio Code or some other code editor that are available. My recommendation is Visual Studio Code. That is pretty good and well, and you can use it. Okay, so how we can access it? We can able to access this console. So how we can access it means we have some methods in JavaScript to access that. So what is the method is, among them one of the common thing is console.log. So what does this means? This is a method. This is a method. By using this method, what we can able to do, method is nothing but it's a function. Okay, so it is going to do some activity, some action it's going to do, right? So by using this method, what I can able to do, so whatever I return inside this console, it is going to display me here. For example, here I just simply type welcome like this, and I hit the run. You can see the welcome is displayed. So what's just happened? So in this method, in this console.log method, so whatever I'm giving inside this console, it is going to display here. The same like that, you can see it is also displaying here. So and also you can able to see the errors also. So for example, instead of I remove single quotation, so this is going to be an error. So if I run this, you can see we can get the unsyntax error and we can something in the red color, right? So what it is, it is going to be an error. And when you are working with Visual Studio Code, the exact same thing. If you are doing some syntax errors and all, the exact same thing is going to happen. And you can see the file name and also the which line the error is getting. So the error is nothing but it is a hint that the browser is telling to us, in this page there is an error is there, please check it out, right? So this is a hint that the browser is telling to us. So what we can do, we will go to that line and we can check the what are the error is there. And here you can see the title of the error, and we can able to see the message, like message and what is the description, what does this come from, like that we can able to do. Here you can see syntax error. So what's meant by syntax error? We make some of the syntax errors, like syntax is, but if I speaking with the English, like it has some, so I need to speak with that grammatical and I need to pronounce something correctly. Like there's so much of things there. Same like that when it comes to computers, so the computer understands certain things, right? So it should be like that, exactly like that. So if you are if you are for example, I'm giving an example. You can see welcome, right? So this is going to be a word, like the sequence of character. So when you are writing a word, a sequence of character, it should be wrapped with single quotes or double quotes. So you need to give the single quotes or double quotes. If it is not, then it is going to be a syntax error, right? So that is what happening here. I am just opened with the single quotes, but I don't close it. Okay, so that is what happened. Some syntax errors happen. So if I change it to now, what happened? Now this is going to be a complete string. So now if I run it, it will be run perfectly. We can able to see there is no error, right? So this is what it will do. Okay, so right now just understand we have method console.log. Whatever we are giving inside that, it will take it, and it will take multiple also. Like I can more than one value. Like I just give a comma and then I can say 2 plus 5. What it is going to do? It is going to display this one also, the value that we have, and it is also going to display the value that we produced after it. You can see welcome and you can see 7. So it is also dynamic, like whatever the operation that you are giving, it is automatically done and it will be produced it also. So make sure that you are using we can able to use this. Okay, so this is for user for debugging purpose. For example, for writing some code, if I want to check whether the code is written successfully or not, what I can do, I just call inside the console.log. If it is written everything fine, then it is going to be work perfectly. So if it is not showing something, it is not as expected, then we need to recreate it. So that is actually called as debugging. So identifying the error and making it to run perfectly. So that is what we're going to do. Okay, so this is going to be a console log, and this is available in the browser also. So right now I'm using JSBin, so you can able to see here whatever the answer we are using, you can able to see here. And if you are writing code, like that option to go for your console, and in that console you can able to see whatever the message from, you can able to see. And the console, you can see some various colors are there. When it comes with normal, this is going to be everything is perfect, the code is working perfect. So when it comes to red, it's going to be an error, it is like we need to look into. When it comes to orange, it is going to be warning message, but we are not able to do that much give care for this. The reason for it is coming because of my Chrome extension that I have been download, so that is why it has been come. The warning is for the developer, not for the application that I have built. So it can be it can be rectified later, but the error something that we need to look into seriously, and we need to rectify it. Okay, so that is what we do. Okay, so don't we need any tags here? Sorry, I'm not understanding. Don't we need any starting tags here? Hello sir, hello. Like this is for absolute beginner. You can able to understand. If you don't know nothing in JavaScript, you can able to understand it. At the end of the end of the workshop, you can able to see like you can have an idea like, okay, so this is going to be a JavaScript like I want to use, and we can able to have so much of things like that. You can able to understand it. Okay, so there is no starting you need. Okay, so this is going to be a console log. Next, what we're going to do, when it comes to programming language, some of the basic concepts are going to be same. Like if you previously know some other languages, for example, C++, Python, Java, there are some languages is there. If you already know that, just give me in your chat box, like I know this language, whatever the language that you know, just give me a chat, just give me in the, like I know C++, Java, like that. If you are new beginner, you can say like, can you provide? Yeah, of course I can provide. I can, at the end of the day you can get that. Okay, so I will tell where the place you can go and search for the notes and all. You can able to do that. Okay, so if you are new for here, just tell me I'm very new, I don't know any programming language. Okay, so my recommendation, if you don't know any programming language, then JavaScript is going to be very easy for you guys. The reason for that is JavaScript is pretty different compared to other programming language. It is not a statically typed one. It is going to be very loosely typed languages. So it is going to be very easy when you know about C++ and Java. It is when it's compared to that language, JavaScript is going to be very easy. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so the first concept of the programming language is going to be the variable. So what is going to be the variable? So variable is nothing but a container. So what is meant by a container? It stores something. What it is going to store? A data. So we have a information. I need to store it in a container. What is the purpose of storing it in a container? Whenever I want, I can take the container and I can use the data. So that is what exactly we're going to do. For example, how can we create a variable? So we can say declaring a variable. So declaring the variable. Okay, so don't make, if I make any typo, so don't care about the typos. Okay, so just focus on the concept, that's fine. So how can we declare a variable? For declaring variable, we need three things. One is going to be keywords, and the next one is going to be after keywords. What we need, like after completing the keywords, we going to have an identifier. So I will explain what these three things. And finally, we need this equal to sign, and we need the value. So let's see what are that. So what is meant by keyword? Keywords are the reserved words. Keywords, and you can see right now I'm writing in English, right? So before that you can see the double slash. So what is the double slash is indicating? So the double slash is indicating the comments. Like you can able to take hints. Like you can able to, if you write the double comments in your code, it is ignored by the browser. So these whatever you are writing here, it is not going to taken by the browser. Okay, so this is for the browsers, like this is for the developers. So the code developers who are working with you, they need to understand what is the code that you are writing. You can, like, you know, HTML, basic HTML and the CSS, in that you use the comment, right? So same like that only JavaScript, we have this comments. Okay, so this is ignored by the browser. Okay, so let's see how can we declare an variables. For declaring a variable, we need actually four things. And equal to, we know that it is used to assign, and value, some value that the user is going to give. Okay, some value that the user is going to give. What is going to be an identifier, and what is going to be a keyword? So keyword is nothing but a reserved word. What is that? Keywords are called as reserved word. So reserved words means like those words are meant in a programming language for some special purpose. For example, for, function, let, const, var, and while, do while, and loops. Like we have for loop, for each loop, maps, filters, like that. We have several reserved words. Those reserved words are the keywords that the computer understand. Okay, so if I write that keyword, the computer understand. Okay, so I want to create a function, so I need to create a variable. So how the computer understand? By using this keyword. So for declaring a variable, we have three keywords. What all are these means? We have let, we have var, and we have const. So these all are the three keywords that we have to declare a variable. Okay, so what is going to be an identifier? I tell what is the difference between let, var, and const. I will tell you later. So once I do this, and I just going to say identifier. What is going to be an identifier? So what I say, variable is like a container, right? So it is going to be writing a container. So if I'm creating a container, I need to give a name for that container. So then only I can able to pick it, right? So if I have a lot of jars, okay, so I need to give a name for the jar. This is for tea, this is for coffee. Like that, we will give a name. We will place some name in that jar, right? So what can, if I go that, I can simply take the as much easily, right? So that is why identifier is nothing but naming the unique name, unique name given to the variable. So this is the unique name that is given to the variable, and we use the equal to sign to assign something, and the value, it's going to be the value that the user, whether it's going to be a number or it's going to be your name, age, date of birth, or true, false. Like there's so much of things is that we will discuss that later. So let's create something. Let me create some variable. Let how I can see. So instead of this three thing, we can able to choose anyone. Okay, right now. So I just use the let. So the next what I need, we need to give a unique name for the identifier. So what is the unique name I just going to give means it is going to be my, I just going to say first name. So I just say F name. So it is short form of first name, we can use it. And I just say equal to. So now what has happened if I say let F name, so a container, a box is created in our memory space. And here I say like something like my name. I just simply give like this. So then what is going to happen? So I just name the box, and this is going to be my value. So this value is going to store inside this box. So whenever we need this value, we just take the container and we need to call it. So right now we written a code. This is going to be a JavaScript code, and I need to know whether the container is successfully created or not. So this is called as declaring a variable. So I need to know whether it is successfully created or not. So how can we do that? So that is why we have the console to debug whether it is something is created or not, right? So we have console.log. So what I say, whatever we are giving inside this console, it is going to display. So right now, if I call that container, so then what it is going to do, it is going to, I just calling the container, it is going to display the value inside the container. So if it is display Harry Prasad, then what it is going to be, the successfully the variable is created, right? So if I click it, you can see my name is display, which means it is successfully created, right? So this is going to be creating a variable, right? So let's see what is the difference between them, and we see how that's all, or we need to discuss something more. So what is the difference between let, var, and const means? Simply right now understand var is pretty old, right? So when JavaScript was introduced, 9 war has been introduced, and there are so much of issues that are with war. So it has some scoping issue, and it has the some overlooked pricing, like that. So much issue we have in war. Okay, so right now just avoid war. Don't use war. Okay, so instead of that you can use let and const. So what is the difference between let and const? Let and const is introduced in the modern JavaScript after 2015. They have been introduced by in the concept of ES6. They have been introduced let and const. And you may ask like if war is the old one and it is newly introduced, then what is the difference between let and const, right? So I will tell that. So when you are declaring a variable, with let, you can able to reassign it. For example, you can, right now I'm giving a name Hari Prasad, right? So if I want to change the name, I want to reassign the name. How can I do that? I just simply need to call that, and I just say something like this. So now I'm going to replace, I'm what I'm doing, I just calling the name, which means I grab the container, and instead of this Hari Prasad, what I'm going to do, I just going to put this Sabari, right? So if I run the code, you can see Sabari is produced. So which means, right? So this word is declared, but it is reassigned with this word. So in that container now to I just remodified this word with this word. Okay, so this is possible. But when I use the same thing, with const, we are not able to do that. So the const keyword is for declaring a constant variable. So what is my constant variable? Once it is declared, it is irreplaceable, which means never get modified. So if I run it, you can able to see an error. So what is the error that is giving? Assignment to a constant variable. So it will be helpful when we have original source data. Like you have a original source data, you don't want to modify that data, like your code developer or any other developer. They don't want to modify the data. You can declare it with the const, then those data will not get modified. But when we are declaring it with let, it is easy to somehow you need to modify the name of it, anything like that. You can able to use the let and you can use it. So the most common use case now is we have the let and const and avoid war, right? So when we discuss about the advanced concept like scoping and hoisting, you will know about why we are avoiding war and all. You can came to know. Okay, so common difference between the keyword selection. You can use either let and const or connect your preference when it comes to constant variable or reassignable variable. Okay, so the next thing is going to be an identifier. So identifier is the so giving a name to that container that we have created. So what we need to do, we need to give a unique name for this container, which means what is meant by a unique name. So unique name is it is once it is created, it cannot be created again. So I'm not able to say let again f name is equal to something. No, it is not possible. But you can see f name is declared, right? So here it is not declared, it is called, it is used for reassigning, right? So we call the name. So but we are not able to do something like let. So now what it is going to do, it is going to produce an error. If I clear run it, you can see error. Identifier f name is already declared, which means it is going to be a unique name. Once you are giving a name for that particular container, the same name you give for another container, there's no use of it, right? So what I need to take, whether this or this, right? So the computer get confused. So avoid this of doing this. And the next thing is it is a case sensitive one. So when you are calling something, you need to call the same thing with the same case. For example, you can see right now the n is in cap. So instead of caps letter, I just use the small n, and if I run it, you can see error f name is not defined. So what is meant by not defined? The computer is not able to find something in this name. So instead of this, just give a caps n, and if I run it again, you can able to see the word inside it. So which means it is a case sensitive. So whatever the case that you are using here, the same case that you need to use it here. Okay, so then what? And third rules, it should not start with the number. So you are not able to start an identifier with the number, it is not possible. But in between that, you can able to use the number, that is possible. But it should not start with the number. It should start with underscore and dollar sign or letter. So three ways you can able to start, either with this dollar sign, or you can be able to go with the underscore, that's it, or the letter. So that's how the basically it is get started. And we are not able to use any special characters like this, we are not able to use it. And you should not start with the number. So these are all the things when it comes to identifier you need to focus. Okay, so it is going to be a unique one. It is not, it cannot be redeclared, cannot be redeclared again. So and also it should not start with the number, and you need to follow the rules to declare an identifier here. Okay, so and here it comes to value. So when I say value, the value, what is the other name for value? Data, right? So when it comes to data, the data may be anything. So right now you can see this is sequence of character, it is a letter word, right? So we have sequence of character, that is going to be a word. So it can be a number, it can be something true or false, it can be nothing, it can be something that is undefined, like that. It can be anything, right? So the data can have many types, right? So this is the data can have many types. So that's why the next topic is came, that is called as data type. That is called as data type. So what is this data type will be? So the types of data that are available, we can able to use. So what are the type of data we have available is string. So string is nothing but the sequence of character that we have, the wording sequence of character that we have. And the next one is going to be number. So obviously numbers, and we will discuss this pretty deep. Boolean, and we have null, and we have undefined, and we have object. Okay, so remember one sentence in JavaScript, everything is going to be an object only. Okay, so some are predefined object, some other things are not predefined object. Okay, so that is going to be only difference. I will tell you that. So when it comes to data types, there are two difference. One is primitive data type. So what is this primitive data type will do means, what is the primitive data type means? Like those five things are considered as a primitive data types: string, number, boolean, null, and undefined. Even though we have some other data type that is called a symbol, but it is recently introduced, but it is not that much in use. It will be used to store an unique value and an anonymous value coming from an input, and it is a rare case we are not using that. Okay, so that much. So The most commonly used are string, number, boolean, and null and identify. That is more than enough, and that is going to be an object, right? What is when it comes to object? This is going to be a reference type. So there is a huge difference between what is primitive type and reference type. But right now, just understand primitive type, whatever the types that we have in the primitive data type, so that can able to store only one value. So we are not able to store multiple values. And also when it comes to reference type, it can able to store more than a value. Okay, it can able to store that more than a value, and not only this, when it comes to primitive data type, the how it stores a value, but when it comes to reference data type, it stores a reference of those values. So that is pretty different concept. So right now, just understand, if I use the primitive data type, those has only one value, but reference data type can able to store more than a value. Okay, let's see how it is working. Okay, so this is going to be data type. Okay, so we see about the primitive data type. So I just going to create a string. Okay, so I just say str. I just simply say here. I just say pw. So how we can create a string? So how we can create a string? Anything that's wrapped with single quotes and double quotes and backticks. Sorry, backticks. So this is considered as a string. For example, you can able to see double quotes, so like single quotes, right? So this is considered as a string. So how can I check whether it is string or not? So we have another method to check what is the data of. So that is going to be type of method. So how we can do this means, if I simply say console.log, I say str, right? So if I clear and run it, we will get the string answer value what it is inside. So instead of that, we can use the type of method. So what this type of method will do, the type of method returns the type that it belongs to. Okay, so which data type that it is belongs to. So like you can use this type of method. Okay, so you just use the type of method. What it is going to do, it is going to return the which data type it is belong to. So if I run it, you can see we can get the string, so which means the particular value is going to be a string. So even you wrap it with the double quotes and even you wrap it with the backticks, it is going to return a string only. Okay, so the next thing is, even if you have numbers 50, 56 minus 20 plus 30, 30.8, like that, you have numbers also, it is going to be a string only. The reason is, you can see like it is wrapped with double quotes and single quotes. So if we run it, it is going to be string only. Okay, so whatever it can, it is wrapped with the double quotes and single quotes or backticks, it is considered as a string only. So remember the words. Okay, so the next data type is going to be number. So when it comes to number, we have so much of when it comes to other programming language, we have float, decimal, integers, double, like this, we have so much of things. But when it comes to JavaScript, everything is considered as a number. So even it is an integer, it is going to be a number only. So we will check it. So I just say okay, so if I run it, you can see number, so it is going to be a number, so it is going to be an integer. If I use the minus, so then also it is going to be the final one, it is going to be a number. So I just comment this one. Okay, so it is going to be a number, and if I run this, it's going to be a number. And if I use the decimal, like something like this, if I run it, it is going to be a number, right? So whatever you are using here, everything is considered as a number. So number is considered as a number. So even it is a decimal value, float value, everything is going to be considered as a number only. Okay, so let's recreate it, take some good preference. Okay, check. Okay, console keys of the print hole. Like you can comment it in English to better communications. Okay, so because I don't know Hindi. Okay, so the reason, and also the whole class will be taken in English, because when you are going for a job or an interview, it's going to be conducted only in English. So that's the reason, not anything special. Okay, so here you can get a practice when it's learning something like that. Okay, So you can use it. So I just say const, and here the what is the next data type we're going to see? It's going to be a boolean. So the boolean is nothing but it's going to be true or false. We are checking whether it is going to be true or false. Okay, so that is going to be that's we can check. For example, I just say like is valid, is valid is equal to, simply say true, and exactly the same thing we will do it here. We will check it, and you can identify that whether the console invalid. Okay, so if we clear and run it, you can see like this is going to be right. So if we run it, you can see it returns the boolean. So when it comes to true or false, those values, those two values are considered as the boolean value. So it will be really helpful when you are working with the comparison operator, like 10 is greater than or 8, or the user is logged in or not. So in that time, we use the true or false to do the control statement and so much of things. We will discuss that. And this is going to be the third data type. And what is going to be the fourth one? So the fourth one is going to be null. So what is mean by null? So null is nothing but empty. So that's not simple. It look like simple, but not that much simple. Let's see like how it is going to be. Like I just creating a word present, and here I just the same null. So what it is going to do? So it is going to be a separate data type, but when I use the console.log, when I use the console.log, I use the type of present. Okay, so here and run it, it is going to be an object. So why it is showing like we have already discussed, it is a primitive data type and it is a reference data type. So in reference data type only we have object, but in primitive data type null is that, but it is showing as object. So remember the word I'm telling the before, everything in JavaScript is considered as an object only. So these all are derived objects. So this is the object that we are creating manually, that is a non-derived in JavaScript. So it is a object string, object number, object value. Right now, don't confuse that. So but the real reason behind this is an error. So this is a bug that is default available in JavaScript. Even the person who created the JavaScript, Brendan, he himself accepted that. So the null, it's when I am showing that it is providing as an object, it is an error. So it looks like simple, but you can say like, oh, why it is not changed, why it is not changed, but it look like simple, but in the back there are so much of works when we are changing the object, the null data type to an something primitive data type. So then it's going to show some complex things and all. So that is why they are not touching this, and it is they're not changed it. So this is an error only, but when it's say to null, it is going to be an empty only. So what is going to be null actually? So null is nothing but I have that space, but I occupied the space, but that is going to be an empty. The space is occupied. No one is allowed to enter inside the space, but the meaning of that is empty. Okay, so that is what. So the next one is going to be undefined. So what is going to be undefined? So once the value is created, the value is created, value is declared without a value. Like sorry, the variable is created without a value. So which means like this. So here you can see the variable is declared, but you can able to see that there is no value inside it. So if I call it, what is going to happen? Like missing initiation and const declaration, like what we can do, we just like it is in const. Okay, I use the let. Okay, so if I create and run it, you can see undefined. So the reason for this undefined is, the reason is it is created, right? It is created, but there is no value inside it. So when I call for what if there is nothing value inside it, means it is going to be an undefined one. So which means, what is the difference between null and undefined? So the null, the space is occupied, but it is empty. But when it comes to undefined, the space is also not the value itself not there. Okay, so it is going to be an undefined one only. It is declared, but also it is not in use, right? So that is going to be, and that is going to be an undefined. Okay, so these are all the primitive data types. Okay, so everything has their use cases when it comes to programming. Like we write some of the codes and we write some of the front end frameworks, and we write some of the front end logics. We can able to understand like where this is used and where those are used, and that we can able to understand it. Okay, so these are the primitive data types. So when I say primitive data types, we cannot do something. So what is that? We cannot able to store more than one value. For example, I just say let uh, fruit, simply say apple, and if I give comma, go for comma, and here I just go for orange. This is not possible, and you can able to see an error here, right? You can able to see an error. It will show some red color block, right? So even if we run it, you can able to see the error, unexpected state. The reason is it is a primitive data type. It is going to store only one value. So if you want to store more than a value, then what you need to do, you need to create an reference data type. So okay, so when it comes to reference data type, we have mostly two things. So actually only one thing is going to be object. So in that object, a special one is there, that is going to be an array. Okay. So array is used to store listed things in a numbered index, and object is used to store everything in a structured way. So let's see first array what it is, and then we move on it. So how to create an array means nothing but a list. We want to create a list like how fruits list we have created. So likewise you do. So I just simply say const, and this is going to be fruits, and I just simply mention for creating an array you need to use the square bracket, and everything that you can mention here. And if you want to create multiple values, you can just need the comma to separate it. For example, like this, orange, like this. So this is possible. So this is called as like we can able to store 1,000 values inside a single variable. You can see only one variable is created, but we can able to store more than a value. Let's see how it is gets stored. If I say console.log, if I say console.log fruits, and clear it and run it, you can see everything is here. So it is JSBin. Let's see how it is working it in our original. If I go here and I just clear the console and I just want to run again, you can see this is how the array is created. So what is the array that we have code? The array is created, it is showing the way like console.log fruits, and you can able to see apple, orange, and grape. And you can able to see this arrow mark. If I click this arrow mark, you can see how it is stored, and you can see length 3. So what this is means, so this is the count of how many items is there. So it will count how many items is there, like 1, 2, 3. We can able to count it, and you can see something 0, 1, 2. What is this? What is this means? This is going to be the index. So this index is the space where this values get stored, right? So values get stored. So by using this index, we can able to access each and every single value in an array. Okay, so that is why that we have this indexes. Okay, so index is the space, like arrays. Consider arrays like a lengthy box, and index are going to be the holders. See each and every holders that we are having to hold that each and every value. Okay, so even though it is going to be a numbered index, array is going to have a numbered index. In JavaScript, array don't have a named indexes. So which means if an array with named index, it is called as async arrays. So those arrays are not in JavaScript. Okay, so arrays are only having the numbered index. So by using this numbered index, what we can able to do, we can able to access those variables. For example, right now you can see when I say console.log fruits, you can see everything. The total value, the total list is displayed. I don't want everything. I just want orange only. I just want grape only. How can I do that? You can use this index to access it. For that, you need to call the array, and you need to give the square bracket, and inside that you need to tell which index that you need to fetch the item. So here I want orange. So I just say 1. So why I'm saying 1? Because those index starts from 0. So the first value index is 0, second value index is going to be 1, third value index is going to be 2. So because it is going to start from 0. So if I run it, you can see we get the orange. So by using this, we can able to frame and sentence also. So how we can able to do this? I just say let details is, and here I simply creating a string, and here I just say in my fruit, in my shops, these fruits are available. Simply I say, I just operator, and here we can mention fruits. We just copy this, and here what we can do, we can paste it here. We can go with 0, and we can go with again plus, and here we can go with 1, and here we can go with 2, right? So like this we will do this, and we will run it. You can able to see nothing. So right now we have created the variable. I just go for here to log it in the console, right? Here I just say simply console.log, and here I just say details. So we can able to use those things in dynamically. Here you can see in my shop the fruits are available, apple, orange, and everything is grouped, right? So because I don't give any space in between them, right? So you need to use the empty space. You need to use this one. You need to give the empty space between those things. Then you will see the space, right? If I run it, you can see available apple and orange and grape, because we don't give the space for these two. So you need to give it. So likewise, we can able to access the individual array by using their indexes itself. We can able to do it. Okay. So that is the one thing. And this is going to be array. So array is nothing but we can able to store multiple things, and even though we can able to store multiple data type also. So right now it is in string. I can able to store number, I can able to store boolean, and I can able to store an array. Inside an array I can able to store another array. I can, it is possible. And how can I? So I can store the null, I can store the undefined, and inside that we can able to store an object. Like that we can able to store anything inside an array. That is possible. Okay, so that is possible. The only thing is JavaScript array or numbered index. So based on the number only we can able to access it. So the order, when it comes to array, the orders are very important. So based on that order only, those whatever the order that you are providing, those values are going to stored in your when you create an array, those values are go and store it in your index. Okay, so the orders are very important when it comes to accessing an array and creating an array. Okay, let's see how it's going to be object. So what is going to be the difference between array and object? So array, it's useful. Like array is going to be like, when I say the another thing that we have this out here is, if I create an array, you can see this is going to be an array. Let me check what is the type of this, right? So I just say type of. I just simply say and run it. I don't want this type of this particular index. I just run it here. Fruits. So this is the variable that we have created. I'm asking for fruits. I just clear and I run it. You can see it is going to be an object. So that is why I say array is also going to be an object. It is a special type. So and also it has so much of method and it has so much of use cases. So arrays are mostly used in JavaScript. Like we use most arrays in JavaScript to work the basic functionalities and all. So that is why I'm saying. So the another thing is going to be object. So right now we see how we can create an object. So object is what is going to be an object? It is a way of writing program, and if we can able to write a well and structured way, of writing program. Okay, so inside an object we can able to store data and behavior of the data. So what is mean by that? So we can tell two things. We can able to do two things here. So what is this means? We can able to store the data, data of those things, and also we can able to store like what is the behavior. So we have a concept called as function. We will discuss that function when it comes to upcoming class. Right now, just we create an object. So for creating an object, you need to use the same thing how we create the array. So I just declaring a const. I just say obj, and here what I'm going to do for declaring object, you need to give this curly braces instead of the square bracket. You need to give the curly braces. Okay, so this is what you need to do when it comes to object. Okay. Okay. So how much JavaScript is required for learning React.js, and it is mandatory to learn HTML, design a component in React? Yes, of course. Like for React is a library for JavaScript, so you need ES6 concept. Till ES6, you need to learn about till ES6 you need to know, and basics DOM manipulation, that's fine. Basics DOM manipulation, because DOMs are not going to touch in React, so it is going to be fine. Okay, so you need the basics about fundamentals about the JavaScript, then it will be really good. And also for React.js, you need to know about what is HTML and CSS also. The reason is, when it comes to basics, these things are going to be the base. So whatever the libraries, frameworks we are using, this basic concept will be there. So in React also we will use something called as JSX and so much of things. It is a combination of HTML and CSS. We will do that. Okay, it's fine. So let's create how we can able to create an object. So when I say object, so object here it has numbered index, like named index or not a numbered index. So in array we have the numbered index, but here we can able to give the value, not the value. Here we can able to give the key, and we can able to give the value. So what is mean by that? We can able to store an value, and we can able to give the key for those value also. So what does that mean? I will say, for example, inside an object, I just say name equal to, here I simply say right, age colon, here I just say 45, not that, but I'm simply saying, and here I just say experience, simply a short form, and here we can just say 2, like this. Okay, and you can notice it's going to be the syntax, and this is going to be the data, and it is, you can see it is how it is structuring. So if I created these things instead of object, in normal string, every time I need to say let name is equal to, let age is equal to 45, and let age is equal to experience, and everything is ungrouped, so it is available in the every wherever, and it is easily changeable also. But when it comes to object, it is under one roof, it is grouped, right? So it is structured. When it comes to programming, it's structured. Let's see how to access it. So how it is look like when it comes to in the console. So I just say console.log, I say obj, okay, and clear, and I run it. Go for the original console. Here I remove this and I run it. You can see how it does look like, and it is going to look like exactly how it is look like array. In this array, we get 0, 1, 2, 3, and we have the length property, right? But here you can see we have the named pairs, like age is equal to 45, experience is equal to true, and name is equal to Harry. And also you can notice another thing here. Here the order is changed: name, age, experience. Here you can experience name. Why? It is automatically arranged in an ascending order. So basically the order is here is not important, because we are not able to fetch. We are not going to access these data by using the order. We are going to access these things by using their key. So what is mean by that means, so if I want this value, by calling this one, we can able to access this. For example, first you need to call which object. So obj is my object variable, and next what you need to do, you need to put this dot to access some inside an object. You need to access, you need to use this dot, and after using that, you can select the key, which key that you need to access. For example, I need to access exp, so I just simply say object.exp, and you need to console log it. So once I done it, object.exp done, I just clear and I run it, we will get it. So if I want the name, we just want to do the same thing, object.name. So now what it is going to do, it is going to give us the name of that object, like whatever inside that, we can able to store it, and we can able to access it. So this is how we create an object and all. and by using this object we can able to store the data and we can able to access it. So this is grouped one. Let's think about that. If without this object and creating something like this, what I need to create more number of variables, like let name is equal to Harry, let age is equal to 45, let experience is equal to true. It is freely available and it is easily accessible. So when it comes to easily accessible, it is easily changeable because they are ungrouped, right? But those information are related to a single person, like person's information, so we need to group it. So that is why the object is a well structured way of writing code, and so much of advantages when it comes to we have an object that is going to be there, and we're going to see about that. One among them is this is called that we are giving the key value pass. So what is this is called inside an object? It is called property. It is called as property. Let's see, there is another thing inside also. Inside that we can able to create a method. So what is meant by a method? So before we need to know about what is meant by method, we need to know about what is functions. So functions is nothing but we can write a block of code, and when someone calls it, it is get executed. So until if someone calls it, then only the code is executed. If no one is calling that, then the code is not going to execute. So how we can create a function? For creating a function, you need to use the keyword function. Okay. So how for creating variable, we have several keywords, right? Const, let, like that we have so much of keyword. For creating function, we need to use this function keyword. So after that, what we need to do, we need to give the name for the function. So here what the name I just going to give, I just going to give detail. This is going to be the name, and you need to use this parenthesis. I tell what is going to be the parenthesis of, and you need to use the curly braces, and inside this curly braces you can tell whatever the code that you are writing. So you can write the block of code, you can able to write. So when someone calls the function, those block of code will be executed. So here I simply write console.log I am executed, like this, right? So the next thing what I'm going to do, if I clear and run it, you can see nothing will be run. You can see this is coming from this console. I just comment on this. Okay, so I just clear and run it. You can see nothing. The reason, the whatever code that you are written inside the function, it will be executed when someone calls it. So then how I can call it? So in programming we can say evoking it. So how we can evoke a function? By calling their name. So let's say detail, right? So this is going to be the name, and for evoking it, so right now we are identifying the function, we need to run the code, right? We need to run the code. For doing that, you need to give this parenthesis, right? So I just going to say parenthesis. So what the parenthesis meant for? The parenthesis meant for evoking the code. So whatever the code that you have inside it, it's just going to evoke it, like it's going to execute it and it's going to run it. So if I call something like this, what is going to happen? It is going to print I am excited in the console. So if I run it, you can see I am executed in this console. So what happened? So this is exactly it's going to happen when you are creating a function. So function, what is the behavior of the function? When someone calls it, it will run the block of code. So instead of console.log, you can write a logic like 1 plus 2, 3 plus 4, like that you can write a logic. Okay, and you have another doubt like what is this parenthesis of? The parenthesis is used to access some data from outside of the world. So what is mean by that? So here it is considered as a parameter. Here we can say a comma b. So what is this a comma b? So this is going to be like a variable. How we create let a let b, like that a parameter can store some data outside the world. So where it gets some data means it gets the data from where it is called. So here the detail is called, and here we can able to pass the data. For example, instead of I am executed, I simply write a comma b. Okay, so I simply write a comma b and I run it. You can see undefined. The reason is, so we know that like once a variable is declared but without an value, then it's going to be an undefined. So the same thing is happening here. The parameter, this is called as parameter, it is declared but it has no value. So where it get access the value,